providing live finance advice on WMAC since 1993. It's time for Your Money with Steve Rosenberg, Sherri Goss, and Randy Goss. To participate in today's program, call 478-742-0940 with your financial questions or comments. And now live from the Macon studios of News Talk 940 WMAC, it's Your Money.
Good morning and welcome to Your Money on Tropical Day, Storm Day.
Woo!
What a miserable morning.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, you walked in it.
Right. There's nothing.
You're tough. You're from Montana.
Just get an umbrella.
I have an umbrella.
Well, then quit your whining.
I'm not whining. I'm just making a comment.
Oh, okay.
What you got?
So I talked about this last week, but I'm going to mention it one more time because it was that good. So I went through that Small Business Development Center Grow Smart program for business owners. In the last hour, they did an hour of cyber strength, and it was really excellent. This guy knows what he's talking about, and they're offering a 3-hour class at no cost in Warner Robins on November 6th. Hang on. Oops. Got a banana emergency. Grandbaby's here. Got a banana emergency. But anyways, all you have to do, go to georgiasbdc.org, and you can register online. It's totally free, 3 hours, and it's how to protect your business from a cybersecurity attack. And the guy is a great speaker. And you'll learn a ton and have handouts. And you won't be committed to anything else, but they'll advertise the rest of the stuff they do. That's just how they roll.
Okay.
What you got to do?
They're talking about the jobs with the fastest growing wages.
Drone pilots.
No. So these are the top wage 10. These are the 10 jobs that saw the biggest gains in wages last year. One is a warehouse associate. Medium base pay is $42,864.
And I don't think you need a degree at all, right?
No.
Does it say?
No, you don't need a degree. The companies that are hiring is UPS, Amazon, and Home Depot, and I'm sure Lowe's is too. Construction laborer.
And there's a huge shortage.
I know there really is. And both of these have salaries are up 6% year over year. Then a maintenance technician, 46,290 job. This is somebody who ensures efficient operations of building machinery and equipment. Security officer.
What? That used to be a minimum wage job.
Yeah, well, it's still not great. It's $36,000.
Okay, that's about $15 an hour.
And then you got retail key holder, which is sales assistant and stuff. Then you get into the higher ones, truck driver, which you've talked about a lot.
Right.
Median pay for truck driver is $56,685. A field engineer, got to have a degree for that. Web developer, so you got to have computer skills for that, $68,000. Sales manager, $65,000. And there was another thing that's paying really well, or if I can find where I put the thing. Are nurses.
Oh, there's a terrible shortage of nurses.
Yeah. So there's some of them making $100,000.
Yes.
And so there's jobs out there. You just have to be. The problem is you got a lot of people that just really don't want to work. So here's jobs that are least likely to quit. The jobs that people are least likely to quit pay more than $100,000. And so we've got, this is a web developer, $106,000. Nurse practitioner, $110,000.
That seems kind of low for the education they have to have.
Yeah. And then a charge nurse, whatever that is.
They're in charge of all the nurses. So like in the nursing home, that's the head nurse that makes sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to.
Okay. So nurse practitioner, $110,000. Registered nurse, $56,000. Charge nurse, $60,000. Software engineer, $107,000. Licensed practical nurse, LPN, $45,000. Front-end developer, I don't know what that is, $107,000. Network engineer, mechanical engineer. Truck driver, $95,000.
Right. And if you call Central Georgia Tech, like we told the server that used to be at Oliver's, he's now a truck driver, and they paid for him to get his CDL, and they put him right into a job. Now, The downside, I understand, is if you accept free school and an immediate job, you're going to be working the long, like, night shift. You're not going to be working the day shift, or you might be doing longer drives. But once they get you trained and once you're in it a year, then you can go out and shop for what you really want.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, you have to go through a little pain in the beginning, but if you could go from making tips to $100,000 a year, what a life-changing thing.
Yeah.
And Frito-Lay, I was down there last week or 2 weeks ago, and they're hiring all the time, and they're having to recruit kids in high school. And I asked them how that worked, and they said they're going to the high schools, and they're asking the kids who are interested in working there and running the machinery to get with Central Georgia Tech and do dual enrollment. Junior and senior year, they have to do pre-engineering. And they go through that for 2 years while they're in high school and graduate with an associate's, and then they hire them, and then they train them to run the machines, because there's no one out there that they can hire.
Huh.
There's nobody. And I was in the SBD class with a construction guy and a lawn guy and a parts lady, and none of them can find anybody. The lawn guy is hiring people out of the prison because there's no one else that will show up to work. And at least people out of a prison that want a second chance, that want to show up and work and build a good work record, are willing to do that kind of work. But I don't know how you're going to find anybody in this market. It's really tough.
But there's a lot of people that have jobs, or that want jobs, but they don't really want a job. I mean, they're only.
I don't get it. How are you going to move ahead in life if you don't want to better yourself? I don't get it at all.
Yeah.
So we were at La Paria last weekend, and we've told you about the whole thing we do with the servers, right?
Uh-huh.
So we sat outside. It was really nice. And here's our server. Happens to be the guy we talked to 4 months ago about joining the Air National Guard. He was our server. I couldn't believe it. And we said, man, tell us what's going on, because he's in college. He's finishing his last year of college. He is going to pilot school on his own, and he works as a server, and he works, he does a DJing on the weekends to make money. And his dad retired as a Delta pilot, and that has been his goal, is to do what his dad did. So we ate there one day, and Randy said, have you ever thought of going in the Air National Guard? And he goes, I don't really understand how that works. And Randy said, well, I just retired from it. I know all the recruiters. I can set you up with the right one. Send me your resume. So he did. He sent it right away. Randy got him set up with a recruiter. He went in and had the interview. He goes to basic training next month.
Really?
He's so excited because he'll have the dual thing. He'll have the pilot gig, and then he'll have the Air National Guard. He could potentially have two pensions. Yeah. And he's so promotable. He is so smart. He just is going to fit in so good. And so he tested really high on the ASVAB. So he's going to be in the plane. He has a job in the plane, starting out in the Guard.
Wow.
So he's on his way. I was so excited. I couldn't hardly stand it.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's nice to help somebody, huh?
Just you never know what a good comment or a good question or just a conversation can lead to, and if you can just kind of help nudge people along a little bit, it made my day. It was really, really fun. What else you got?
So did you hear about this Ken Fisher fiasco?
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
What a disaster. I think he must have dementia or something to be that dumb.
Yeah, from what he said.
Tell people who he is, because he used to run ads on this station all the time.
Yeah, Ken Fisher's the guy that runs the ads.
I hate annuities, and you should too.
Yeah, so that's basically, he's a money manager. He was a columnist for Forbes magazine for a lot of years, and he's got a huge following. He's out west somewhere, and he's got a huge following. So what happened is that he tried to make a joke about women or something like that.
About grabbing women's butts and things like that, but even worse.
So anyway, the Iowa Public Employees Retirement System is terminating its relation with them, taking out $386 million of money he managed. The Iowa plan, which holds $34 billion in total, announced this move on Friday. And another one earlier this week. Boston Pension Plan pulled $248 million away from the firm. State of Michigan said it would withdraw $600 million of its pension fund assets. The Philadelphia Board of Pensions yanked $54 million. And in an audio that CNBC got, he said, I'm not going to say
You can't say it.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I could say. He said that
he was bragging about being really a rotten person.
Yeah. So anyway, so he's history, and
just over some stupid comments that he didn't need to make.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was thinking.
Well, maybe he was on drugs or medicine or something like that.
I mean, literally. You're going to have to do this, okay? Grandbaby is here. I'm having help her with her sticker book.
That's okay. You're good at sticker books. It's a good thing you know how to do sticker books, Sherri Goss, because that kid would be in trouble. That's all I can
have
say.
you read about the people that are predicting a massive housing boom?
Yeah, because the interest rates are down.
Interest rates are dirt cheap, less than 4%. That's 3.6%. And millennials are hitting the age when they will finally be buying a house. So the average age of a millennial buying a house is 34, and they're all getting in that zone now. They're moving through the economy and changing the economy based on their behavior and their spending.
Just like the boomers.
Just like the boomers did. And so the whole global warming thing and the not eating meat and the impossible meat, I mean, a lot of that is the millennials. What do you need?
Can you do the monster one?
Grandma, can you stop doing the radio show so you can play with me?
Almost there. I don't have the monster one. We got sticker books. We got coloring books.
Why are you wasting time doing this stupid radio show when you could be playing with me?
Here, go through this one and see which page you want, okay? All right. But anyway, so
Thank you.
In the InvestTech research, something that we subscribe to, they're talking about, like you were mentioned, 50-year low unemployment. And so it's starting to cause a problem. The tight labor market is starting to show up on profit margins because people can't hire enough people. In fact, my client that owns a lawn business, he was so depressed when I met with him recently because he's like, I'm just going to have to turn down jobs because I can't find anybody that will show up and do this work. I mean, they'll show up one day and stand there looking at their phone. And so between that and the trade deal, it's a big shift that we're going through. And there with all these people buying houses, all these construction workers, I don't know where they're going to find them. It's tight, depending on what kind of business that you own. I mean, look how hard it was for us to find administrative people.
Yeah.
And we got really lucky with
lucky.
Man,
Yeah.
I told them yesterday, every day I thank God you show up.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
How about Johnson & Johnson baby powder with arsenic in there? Oh, no.
I thought they'd already fixed this.
Johnson & Johnson recalls this yesterday.
I know.
Johnson & Johnson recalls baby powder and arsenic was discovered in baby food. That's even better. God, these companies are unbelievable.
All the baby food is bad. I don't think any of it's good. I don't believe in buying any of that pre-jarred stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I looked into it a lot when Wyatt was born, and he's almost 2 now, and they made their own. I told our daughter, I said, make your own, just like we did for you. Whatever we're eating for dinner, I grind up and I put in freezer... oh, come on. What is it? Like, if you freeze ice cubes.
Oh.
I would pack it in an ice cube tray, put it in the freezer, freeze it, put it in a baggie or a container, and then I would just have to take 1 out or 2 out and warm it up. And I would do peas, sweet potatoes, squash, I mean, whatever she liked. And then you already have the food. You don't have to buy $1 a jar. There's no reason to buy that food. I don't understand it at all. I want to know what my kid's eating. You can't trust anybody.
Arsenic. You know what they're eating.
It makes me sick.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yep.
30,000 bottles of baby powder because of asbestos contamination concerns. Day before, they announced they were starting a voluntary recall for 1 lot of its baby powder out of abundance for caution. Said 95% of lab-tested baby foods contain traces of at least one of 4 heavy metals.
Right. Bad.
That's one thing there's a set-off alarm going through security. What's in your stomach? Gerber found trace amounts of elements like arsenic and lead. How does this happen?
I know. I think it's made in foreign countries where it's cheap and they don't have enough controls in place, and they're sourcing the food from bad areas that's been compromised, and nobody's watching it. Nobody's testing it. And look at the baby food aisle. When we had kids, 30 years ago, the baby food aisle was like about 2 feet wide. Yeah. And it was really, if you were desperate or traveling or, I mean, you had to buy something. No one was buying all that back then. Everybody was just mashing up food and feeding their kids normal what they ate, and you knew what they were eating. And now, because of convenience and everyone in such a hurry, and we have this whole run through Starbucks mentality, everybody's buying everything in jars. And what really is driving me crazy is the millennials that worry about global warming, but they're buying cases of bottled water, cases of bottled drinks, baby food in jars that go into the landfill. It's not getting recycled. And so what are you doing? I mean, if you really want to fix, pollution and stuff, start at home and start with all the prepackaged junk that you buy and see how you can lighten that up a little bit. It makes no sense to say,
because you got to get rid of all the containers and stuff.
Right. And so it makes no sense to be eating a Beyond Meat burger and then everything else comes out of a jar that you throw in the trash can. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't rational.
That's true.
But yeah, I really hate hearing that stuff, but I believe it, and I think it's pretty much everybody. I don't even trust the ones that are so-called natural, because if you don't have the right controls in place where that stuff is being made, you've got to have people constantly testing every lot, which I don't think they do. So, anywho, did you see this, that Equifax used admin as their username and password for sensitive data?
Really?
Admin for their username and password at Equifax.
Oh, jeez.
So they're being sued. They have a lawsuit that's been filed in the Northern District of Georgia. Let me see here. This lawsuit notes Equifax admitted using unencrypted servers to store the sensitive personal information and had it as a public-facing website. This class action suit consolidates 373 previous lawsuits into one, and this is from shareholders who feel like they've been gouged because they didn't adequately disclose the risks of their security practices. And so the shareholders took a hit, and so they're all suing them now on top of all the other lawsuits that they've already been through. How could anybody even do that? They should have attended the cybersecurity class.
If they come to our class, they wouldn't have done that, right?
Who's in charge of this? I mean,
next time we have one, we'll send it to the president
we'll send him
of Equifax.
an email.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I just couldn't believe when I saw that. Our clients are better informed than that.
Golly.
Pretty green. Sorry, she's coloring a PJ Masks character. It's pretty green, if you heard that.
The whole city heard it.
So the Brexit deadline is in 2 weeks, and they're making progress. The phase 1 of the trade deal is in progress. They're supposed to sign a deal. This is phase 1. Sign that deal at the economic summit in Chile next month. China says they're going to buy $50 billion worth of our agricultural products. The U.S. has to reduce tariffs, and China is going to increase intellectual property protection, and then further talks this week. So things are rolling ahead.
This from the Detroit Free Press says as elderly are getting scammed by their own families.
Oh, I read that too.
And AARP is out to stop it.
Yes, I have the same article. Yes,
yeah.
Very good.
It said, picture this scenario. A woman walks into a branch with her 25-year-old grandson, and they're ready to transfer $4,000 or so out of Grandma's account into his. Is the grandson running a scam? If so, can the bank do anything to stop it? People are literally being robbed every day through scams or financial exploitation from members of their own family, says Deborah Whitman, Executive Vice President and Chief Public Policy Officer at AARP. The average victim can lose $120,000 to financial exploitation, according to ARP research.
That's huge.
Repeated out-of-the-country cash transactions are a big clue to exploitation and scams. As part of the fight, AARP has launched an online training program module for bank and credit union employees to deal with all the
Why didn't the American Bankers Association do this? Why does it take AARP to do this? I don't get it. Or the Consumer Protection Bureau, who knows all about this.
Yeah, but the banking industry is just there to protect the banks, just to work with the banks. They're not out to protect the customers. I guess I don't know. Says financial exploitation is wider in scope than your garden variety IRS impersonator. Exploitation includes abusing one's relationship with an older relative at friends or friend to coerce the senior into handing over a large part of a nest egg that is sitting in a bank account, or even transfer property to someone else. It may start with withdrawing a few $100s from a bank account and then build to repeated requests for money. Such exploitation may include such things as misusing a power of attorney, denying an elderly person access to his or her own money, withdrawing money out of a senior's bank account, according to our research. And the report is called "The Thief Who Knows You: The Cost of Elder Exploitation Examined." And so, that's why we've gotten so tight with
powers of attorney.
Georgia changed the law
July 1st, 2017.
that changed that
The requirements.
Yeah, and so you should if you have a power of attorney before that, you really should have a new power of attorney done.
The secondary thing is you need to take it to the institutions you deal with and see if they'll even accept it. Because I had a guy in recently who just put his wife in a nursing home, and he has power of attorney because of her condition. So he went to his bank and financial institutions, and the bank wouldn't accept it. And she can't sign legal documents anymore. That's the real problem. So if you have power of attorney over someone who is elderly, you need to get this fixed now and send it to all of their financial institutions, because our home office is now requiring a cover letter called a letter of instruction that declares, yes, I want this person to be my agent. Here's all of his personal information, and these are the accounts it applies to. Because people were using a general power of attorney they were supposed to be using for maybe one account, and they were ripping the people off who didn't know it because they were elderly and unaware. That's the big problem.
Yeah, so we're really tight on this. And everybody just assumes, but as you know, every time we meet with people and we're talking to people about this, that because of the law changes and plus the requirements from our broker-dealer, it's really difficult now because they're not going to. I do remember about 5 or 6 years ago, one of the investment companies that we use that invest money for clients and manages it. They were requiring, this was about 7-8 years ago, they were requiring a full force
in effect. That's required every 3 years now for our clients.
Yeah. So so they were in front of that. They were way in front of that, and so that's been good. So we're extra cautious. If somebody calls up and says they need, they want to get some money out of their account or what have you, we have to call them back.
We call them back and the number we have on file, and we get their social, or we do something to confirm that they are who they are.
And if they send us an email,
we cannot do anything.
Never work.
Right, we can't do anything. We have to call them and confirm that they really do want to do that, because you could have people faking that they're you and hacking your email and trying to get a distribution.
And if just so you'll know, if you have an account with somebody and somebody does call and gets money out of your account, then that firm is responsible.
Yes.
So they have that responsibility. We have that responsibility to make sure that the people are really the people that they are.
So I had a client come to me. She's a client now. She came to me 2 years ago, and she was so mad. She rolled her 401k into a big nationwide company, and they invested it, and she was fine. And about 5 years into it, she got a letter in the mail confirming her change of address. So she called, and she said, I didn't move. Well, you sent in a change of address form. I mean, they didn't get it. She said, you're not understanding. I didn't move. I didn't sign that. So they weren't doing any kind of signature comparison or nothing. They just processed it. So they fixed it, and they said, oh, we'll put a red flag on your account, so this won't happen again. 3 months later, she gets another one. She calls them up. Why didn't you put a red flag on my account? Oh, the person that was supposed to do that didn't do it. So, okay, I'll put a red flag on now. So about 6 months later, she got a confirmation about a $70,000 wire transfer distribution. And she calls them and she said, I didn't change my address. I didn't change this. I didn't request a distribution. They just were processing everything that came in, automatically assuming it's from the person.
Yeah.
And so it took her a year to get her money back. She was hotter than anything because her whole credit was hacked. She had to go to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. She had to put freezes on everything because they had everything. And she thinks it was from a medical facility that had her everything. Social Security number, everything. That's the problem with your medical.
Yeah.
All of your everything is all over. All they have to do is slip your driver's license and your medical stuff. And what she thinks they did is drove by her house and checked her mail And one day they got her statement for her investment account, got her account number. And once they had that and all the other stuff, they were able to just log in and print out pages from the home office website and just, forge it and send it in, fax it in. And it's unbelievable they were that slack. And this was just 3 years ago it happened. And they said they'd never had it happen before, and they were going to have to tighten down their controls, obviously. But I don't know why it took them a year to give her money back.
Yeah.
That's where she was really hot.
Yeah.
And the hassle that she had to go through because they were inept. I mean, it's crazy. You got to keep... So mail in your mailbox is a whole other thing. So you can go to the USPS website, and you can set up to have an email every day of what mail you're supposed to receive. Because I've had about 3 clients tell me that they believe someone has taken mail out of their mailbox. And so if you want to see that, first of all, why not? And you shouldn't have any statements coming to your mailbox that have your complete account number. So I still get statements from, like, my credit card has my complete account number on it. And I can't believe they're still doing that. It's right on there, and it's on the thing that I send back in the mail.
Oh.
So anybody that wants that could get it. And it's crazy to me. And so you can pay your bills online. You can get your statements online. Just make sure that someone else knows the passwords and all of that. So in case something happens to you, they can help get your stuff done. Very nice.
Wow, that's beautiful.
All right. Where's this?
Nice job. Next you'll be doing a radio show. Would you like to do a radio show?
Good job. Good job. She's coloring. This color with water stuff is really fun because you don't have to be a good colorer. She doesn't have the skills to stay inside the lines yet, but coloring with water, your picture always comes out great.
Is you just putting water on something?
Yeah, it's water. It's just water activating the colors on the page.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's called cheating.
Well, it's called being young and being entertained easily while your grandma is busy. Very nice. That's Ariel. Yes. You want another page? Okay. Oh, here's a princess.
All of it.
All right, what else you got, Steve?
One for all of the
Oh, you're making one for everybody? Oh, is CT going to get one of those? Is he going to get the princess one?
He's going to get
The Ariel one? Oh, he'll love that. I bet he'll stick it on his refrigerator.
All right, this is, I don't know if you saw this one. 6 ways Social Security will be changing next year.
I saw the headline. I didn't read it.
Number 1. Every day, 10,000 or so baby boomers are turning 65.
Mm-hmm. And that'll keep going for the next 15 years.
So anyway, number 1 change, dipping into the Social Security Trust Fund. Without some action, major action from Congress, the current excess fund revenue will be depleted by the year 2034. If this occurs, it's estimated that Social Security will only be able to pay 80% of its promised benefits from ongoing payroll taxes. Trump has thrown out lowering the payroll tax in an attempt to spur the economy. If the government takes this action, Social Security would be likely, the fund would be depleted faster.
But one counterpoint to that, which is in a lot of books, is what they leave out of the equation is that millennials are going to be reaching their peak earning years about the same time. Tony Robbins' book, Money, he has a whole chapter on this. And he says it's going to be a wash because the whole problem has been there were fewer working people for everybody who gets the benefit, but the number of working people is increasing.
So is the millennials, they're a larger group?
90 million. They're way larger than the baby boomers.
Okay, so I'm a baby boomer. What are you?
Same.
Okay.
I'm on the tail end.
Okay, and then the next group, we went through this once. The next group down is...
Aren't they the Gen X? Is that it?
So are the millennials an extra large group like the baby boomers were?
Yes,
more
they're
so
huge.
More so than our kids' generation.
Yes. They're the biggest generation alive today. And the other thing they don't take into account is the death rate. And I did a bunch of research on this last year, and like 5,000 people die a day or something like that. I mean, so you have 15,000 or 10,000 people turning 65 every day, but we don't live forever. Stuff happens. We're all, we have a 100% death rate, and we kind of forget about that.
We do. It's now 100%. It's official. It's 100%. Yeah, it's sad that now everybody's got like a 100% chance of dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is sad. Anyway, there's going to be a little bit of cost of living index, not much. It's going to be about 25 $25 for the average person. Higher earners could get up to $50 more a month. Maximum Social Security benefits will increase. For workers near the top of the Social Security income scale, which is $132,900 or more for 2019, your maximum Social Security payout will increase slightly in 2020. No individual at full retirement age can take home more than $2,861 a month. So that's interesting. So that's the highest benefit that anybody can get if they're a billionaire or whatever, $2,861 a month regardless. And of course, if you delay your Social Security till age 70, it's going to be even higher than that. So it says even Oprah won't get more at this retirement age, and neither will you.
And so to understand how this works, you have 35 years of peak earnings. That's what they count. It's not 40 quarters. 40 quarters makes you eligible, but they look at your highest 35 years of earnings. So if you only have 30 years of earnings, you have 5 years of zeros that are all going to be averaged into the picture. If you're in a really high-paying job, it even benefits you greater to wait longer until you retire and draw benefits, because the longer you wait and the longer you work and the higher the wages, the more your benefit can increase, especially if you have really low earnings years in the early 30s.
That includes how long you work, right?
Yes, 35 years earning of the highest earnings.
And it changes so if you're still working and getting
it
Social
increases.
Security.
Oh, yes, and it does. If let's say you're over full retirement age and you're still working, your benefit is still increasing if your wages are higher, because all the wages are indexed forward for inflation. So a higher year will knock out a lower year. So the longer you work, the better, whatever. But they take all of that information, and that creates your primary insurance amount. And they have this system. They have a system where, like, the first tranche of benefits is the highest. It's weighted toward the lowest paid people. So that's why there's a cap on how much you can get. But the bottom line is the more you earn, the better your benefit is.
742-0940 is the number. Good morning. You're on Your Money with Sherri and Steve.
Good morning.
Good morning.
May I digress to the baby food?
To the baby food, yeah.
Sure.
When our kids were growing up, we had a little grinder, a little hand crank
Right.
grinder. And you drop whatever food you were having for dinner in it, turn the crank, and baby food come out.
That's what we used to do at home, too. We had that metal one. It like hooked onto the side of the cabinet or something.
This was not even that complicated. It's a little tube. And you just set it on the table, push down on it, and it had a little grinder on the other end. And
Easy
it worked just
peasy.
fine.
When my kids were younger, we used to get in the car and go to the grocery store and get canned food.
Canned
bottles, baby food.
Oh, so you bought the jars of food?
And the kids turned out fine.
Well, that's back then.
Although they do turn north sometimes from the magnetic field of what they ate.
But yes, you
Yeah.
save so much money, because we were broke back then. We couldn't afford to buy all that stuff. That was really the driver for us is, well, I'm cooking real food. Why not feed them real food while we're eating the real food?
My wife just told me that she thinks the name was Happy Baby.
The what?
Happy Baby, that's the name of the grinder.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes,
Happy Baby.
And by the time they were 6 weeks old, they were eating whatever's on the dinner table.
Exactly. Right. And these squeeze pouches drive me crazy, because it's just more of the same. And I don't know. The whole going through drive-thrus and feeding your kids good junk and sodas and sweet tea drives me insane. Start them out healthy. Just give them a head start so they can.
Well, we tried.
Yeah. Did it work?
Well, yeah, they're all productive members of society.
Good.
Except, well, one of them's only one of them has been in jail, and he's a special agent for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
Very nice.
That's good.
Good deal.
So you got protection.
Yes.
So does he drive the black car with the lights?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a friend who does that too, and he loves it. He's in the oxycodone drug, whatever. He's in that, finding the people that are doing that person. He's loving his job. It takes a certain person to handle that kind of stuff, though.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Well, good job.
Great. Thanks for calling.
Well, thank you. Have a great weekend.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Even better would be if you could grow some vegetables, if you had a place to do it. Have your own and don't even have to worry about the store. It'd be nice. Back in the day, we had our own vegetables. We covered them with DDT. That's what we use. That's what we
Yeah.
use on the farm. My dad would come in. He'd be out in the tractor. There's no cab on the tractor back then. You fill the back of it with DDT, and he'd go over all the fields. It would take him about 3 days.
Breathe that stuff in, right?
He was beat up and had no face mask. He'd come in and be in his eyes, up his nose, in his mouth, covered in white. Have to come in, take a shower. He never had any problem. He never had cancer.
Wow.
He never had a skin cancer, and he was out in the sun all day, every day. But it's a different kind of sun. It's different. It's not as hot as here. So I don't know. But I think that everything. I think what we ingest matters.
It definitely it has to.
Has to. Yeah, baby.
Can you color this for me?
Not right now.
The grandma can't color right now. 'Cause
I can't color right now.
She's a big radio star, and people want to hear everything she has to say.
Right. My brains are scrambled this morning. Here's my favorite story. We'll be done in just what? How many minutes? We'll be done in about 20 minutes.
Count to
100, right? She
count.
can count to 10. Count to 10 20 times.
I still won't do it.
So this one really gets me. Lavish weddings on your mind, wedding loans. So, and I know somebody who did this, and I refuse to do this as well. In the U.S. alone, it is estimated that the wedding industry has cost Americans $76 billion this year. Can you believe that? The average for getting married in 2018 was between $33,000 and $44,000, which is not really an average. I don't know why. And they also owe $47,000 in student loan debt. And so extended wedding, so they do extended wedding weekends.
Half of weddings end in divorce.
I'm getting to
What
that.
a total waste of money.
Over-the-top entertainment and services or customized details. A Credit Karma survey earlier this year found 21% of Americans age 18 and up went into debt over their wedding. In these findings, the quarter of them borrowed $10,000, or more than 41% said they did so because they felt like they had no choice or have a large family, and 32% said they wanted to impress their guests. The remaining 20 and 16 I hate these numbers, how they did. The remaining 20 and 16% said they either wanted to look good on Instagram or one-up someone else's wedding. That was the driver behind spending all that money.
Can't fix stupid.
Gosh. Online lenders is where they're borrowing the money. They said they are issuing up to 4 times as many wedding loans as they did a year ago. Prosper, Upstart, and Earnest are 3 major financial institutions that are promoting wedding-specific loans with interest rates that could be as high as 30%.
God.
For individuals with good credit history, rates can be lower. The pros of a lavish wedding. You have an unlimited guest list. You can do whatever you want. Your guests will have a really good time. The bad part is you have to deal with, if you're going to not spend lavish wedding, a bad part of a lavish wedding is all the vendors, all the negotiating contracts, all the gratuities, all the payment schedules, regretting how much debt you went into, and then chance of divorce. Economists conducted a study that examined wedding expenses and its correlation to overall relationship health. In their findings, spending more for the big day did not yield a more stable, it's buzzing in my ear, a more stable marriage. Specifically, couples that spent $20,000 or more were said to be at greater risk of divorce on average.
Yeah, because I know why. They got
Why?
a spoiled bride.
What about a spoiled groom?
Yeah, but it's mainly the
The bride is the
brides.
driver?
Yeah, pretty much
Probably.
the bride's the driver.
So what we did is we gave each kid $2,500 and told them to figure it out.
I had a client years ago, and she was talking about her daughter, daughters in college. This is probably 20 years ago. Daughters in college, and she said, she's always had the best of everything, and I make sure I have the best of it. I said, well, I pity the poor guy who marries her.
Right?
Because they get spoiled by the parents give them whatever they want, and then some poor guy's going to marry her, and she's going to want the continuation of what she's had and been given.
And just
her whole life.
magically it's going to be there.
Yeah. Do you believe in magic? No.
Spoiling your kids is bad in so many directions. Letting them sit around and eat junk food and play video games all day long and not have any chores or responsibilities is not creating a person with a work ethic. It's very bad. I've got this article I kept meaning to talk about, which ties into this. Somebody's getting bored here. Not me, not Steve. It's Bailey. Bailey is getting a little bored.
We're almost done, Bailey.
Almost there, Bailey.
Let's go back to the phone. 7420940 is the number. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
What's going on?
Nice to have one in. Let's talk about brokerage fees deductible on taxes.
They're not deductible. But it does affect. If you sell something, that does affect the price you paid because you paid the brokerage fees too. So effectively, if when you're doing capital gains and stuff like that, the total cost of the transaction is the stock plus any brokerage fees you paid.
Yeah, the cost basis. Why I'm calling this, I just Googled this, and then I find out that a lot of information on Google, was put on 3 years ago.
Yes.
Right.
And okay.
Yeah, you used to be able to deduct advisory fees, and can't do that anymore.
I was looking at transaction fees.
Yeah, transaction fees. In an IRA, it really just comes. In both cases, it comes out of your money, but in an IRA, it effectively comes out tax free because you're not paying.
It's not income.
You're not deducting it, but it's taking away from your money.
Yeah.
So, but if it's not an IRA account, and then when you used to pay advisory fees, you could take those off as a miscellaneous deduction, and you cannot do that anymore.
Well, the way I read this, management fees are deductible.
Not anymore.
Aren't you glad you called?
That changed.
Yeah.
I think that changed maybe last year was the first year, but I mean it's not.
Yeah, because I used to have clients that would ask me to send them a sheet showing what we charge in fees.
And what we used to do is we would have all the fees taken out of the non-IRA account so they could write them off, and then so the fees for all the.
We can't do that anymore either.
No, because you can't write it off anymore.
Well, you can't take them out of one account over the other. I had somebody ask about that, and
really?
They wouldn't do it. No, they said it has to come out of the account now.
Yeah. So, but as I say, the fees out of IRAs are effectively reduce the value of the account, and so that's just less money in there. So it's almost like a deduction, but it's not quite the same thing. So sorry.
Yeah, but that's.
Listen, the rule is anytime you come up with what do you think is a really good way to avoid taxes, it doesn't work.
Or it goes away.
It goes away. So that's it.
Like my charitable contributions last year, that blew my mind with what we gave and how it didn't work. I should have looked at it. I would have changed what I did, but and I was sitting there. I'm doing my Schedule A, and I'm all upset about it. And Randy says, "What does it matter? You got the higher exemption. It doesn't matter." I said, "But I like doing the Schedule A. I love filling out all those little blocks by hand and looking at it, and it just, I don't know. It wasn't
just think
fun.
once you reach 70 and a half, you'll be able to take those charitable contributions out of your IRA.
Yes,
tax
and
free.
go directly to somewhere.
Yeah.
Yep, that's going to be great.
I'm 75 now.
Yeah. So the money. So you just make your charitable contributions out of your IRA, and it's not taxable income to you. It's not deductible because effectively it is. You've taken.
Have you ever taken the letters of the IRS and put them all together?
What letters?
Our Internal Revenue Service.
No, THEIRS.
THEI.
There's.
That's it.
Huh?
That's it. There's.
Oh.
All right.
Oh my gosh, I can't even. I've got grandbaby flu in the head.
Yeah, she's sitting there. Sherry's sitting here with coloring books in front of her
and Play-Doh.
and Play-Doh in her hand. So she's not really all here.
I'm not focused very well.
Yeah, you can't tell. You really can't tell the difference from normal. But I was just.
There's your circle, Bailey. I had to make a circle out of Play-Doh. A purple circle, no less.
You're so good with that stuff. All right. Thanks for calling.
Have a wonderful weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So this article is titled, I Raised 2 Successful CEOs and a Doctor. Here's one of the biggest mistakes I see parents making. And It says, through my decades of experience as a mother, grandmother, and educator, I have identified several fundamental values that help our kids achieve success. One of these values is kindness, and it's one that some parents fail to teach their kids. Gee, you think, based on what we look at on the internet now, and the music we listen to, and how people speak to each other?
And who we elect as president?
I grew up believing it was my duty to contribute and make our community better. I still feel that way. If everyone just sits around and talks, nothing gets done. I was always a doer. All of this influenced my daughters, not because I lectured to them about the importance of serving the community, but because I truly cared. I tried to show them through my actions what they could achieve. I didn't realize at the time the profound impact it has on children's well-being, which has been confirmed by a number of interesting studies. Teenagers who volunteer with younger children experience both decreased negative moods and cardiovascular risk. Teenagers who perform volunteer work were significantly less likely to engage in illegal behaviors and also had fewer convictions and arrests. Well, it's probably because of how you're raised, too. It's sad to say, but I've noticed more and more kids completely focused on themselves, where they want to go to college, vacations they want to take, things they want to buy. Sometimes it feels like we're training a nation in a world of narcissists. Kids are growing up feeling like they're the center of the universe. As young adults, they're not only lacking grit and independence, they're wholly unprepared to take on causes that could make the world a better place. And I'm almost done hanging there. They tend to focus on money because they think it will make them happy and fulfilled. It's the American ideal. Get rich, then do things, sit on a beach, go out for an expensive dinner, go to Las Vegas. But if there's one thing I know is this: you're happiest as well as most beneficial to society when you're doing things to help others. So start small, volunteer for 1 hour in your community, go to a city council meeting, research an issue that affects your neighborhood, and at the very least, vote. And talk to your kids about it. Our daughter was huge in missions trips when she was in high school, and it changed her for the good because she saw how other people lived in bad parts of the world. Right. And she would come home just amazed how people are surviving and living in a cardboard box. And here she had her own room and her own bathroom and hair dryers and all these, dance class. I mean, it made her appreciate the upbringing she had. So traveling can be good, too, but you can't just go to the Disney places that are just about consuming. You have to go to the other places and let them see how the rest of the world actually lives and how stuff works. And I totally believe in this, that parents that are engaged and involved in helping their neighbor, helping the community, helping people, and taking their kids along in the process makes a big difference. We need more of it.
There's an article from the Wall Street Journal, The Great Student Loan Scam. Subtitled, The Magnitude of the Federal Budget Losses is Becoming Clear. About 10% of the $1.5 trillion student loan portfolio is 30 days or more past due. Another 20% is in deferment or forbearance, and 30% is in income-based repayment plans that allow most borrowers to cap the monthly payments at 10% of discretionary income and discharge the remaining balance after 20 years, or 10 years for folks in public service. Congress created these nifty plans in 2012 for new borrowers, but then the Obama administration expanded them retroactively to reduce defaults, buy off millennial voters, and disguise the cost of the student loan takeover. This may be the biggest accounting fraud in history.
Yep.
Democrats in the 1990s created a public student loan option to compete with subsidized private lenders. Then in 2010, they nationalized the market to help pay for Obamacare. The Congressional Budget Office at one time forecasted eliminating private lenders would save taxpayers $58 billion over 10 years. This was pure fantasy, and now we're seeing it's going on like this. This whole thing with the student loan thing is terrible.
You just borrow as much as you want without any regard to what you're studying or where you're going to school and whether you're going to be able to get a job.
The government's spending more money to administrate the student loans than the Obama crowd forecast. In 2010, the government spent $800 million on administrative costs, with the CBO projected it would increase to $1.2 billion next year. This is crazy. This government's out of control.
Yeah, and you want them to take over Medicare, take Medicare for all. You want them to run the entire healthcare system. Are you out of your mind? They can't even run the post office. Yeah. I mean, it's going in the tank, and it's not getting any better, and it's not going to get any better. So they just keep blowing billions of dollars and going further in debt, and they need to get out of the whole Fannie and Freddie. Like Trump said, that needs to be privatized so somebody actually cares about losing money.
Yeah.
Instead of just getting more money from the government and getting a bailout.
They talked about privatizing it for years, but they just never did.
Trump has been talking about it. I don't know what they're so. It's just aggravating.
They can't get anything done. And then GE froze its pension plan this week. GE's been going down the drain here since Jack Welch left, pretty much, and they just made horrible decisions. And they got into the long-term care business. They did all this stuff, the insurance business. And they were turned into a conglomerate. It's freezing its pension for 20,000 workers this week, and offering buyouts to 100,000 former employees. Sent to former employees, I guess, buying out of the pension plan. So you have a lot of pensions that are effectively underwater in that they don't have the funds because they made certain assumptions when they set up the pension plan. And a pension plan is where you don't put any money in, the company just gives you that pension, and then you get a stream of income, or you can roll it, take a lump sum or whatever when you retire. The problem is longevity was never really taken into consideration,
and the recession.
The
recession didn't help.
And then the companies, if the company's going out of business or they're really going down the drain, like GE's been doing, they just can't afford this stuff anymore. So over the past 20 years, the percentage of fortune, because it used to be, B&W had a pension plan, Bell South had a pension plan, and now they're just all doing. I mean, B&W's not here, but
401ks.
Yeah, they got their. So now they're putting all the burden.
Northrop Grumman froze theirs.
So they put all the burden. Now they're putting the burden on the worker instead of the company was really just providing free money, and that's one reason that the baby boomers would be better off in retirement than the older people than them will be better off in retirement than the other generation, the lower generations, because they're not going to have those pension plans, and pension plans guaranteed a sum of income. But then the government came out, of course, to guarantee all these pension plans. So they took it on themselves. If they're underfunded, which means they don't have enough money to pay the full benefits, then the government was supposed to.
Now it's the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation.
Yeah, which is another. I mean,
and that doesn't guarantee that you're going to get what you're supposed to get.
No,
I mean it doesn't. There's caps based on the financials.
You'll get something. So it says GE, an American staple and an iconic industrial company that has employed hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Americans over the years and paid benefits loyally to its workforce. But then, that just turns into a problem. So anyway, it's no secret that private sector pensions on its last breaths. Over the past 20 years, the percentage of Fortune 500 companies offering traditional pension plans has fallen from 59% to 16%. Pension plan freezes have been on the rise as well. For the entire workforce, only 4% of today's workers have has access to traditional defined benefit pension plans. So the pension plan is different than the 401k. The pension plan has a defined benefit. So your benefit will be a function of how many years you worked and how much you made all that. So that's what you would get. A defined contribution. The 401k is a defined contribution. Your benefits are going to be based on how much you put in and how much the company matches and all that kind of stuff. So that's the difference. So that'll stay around because the 401k's got, you're not putting a whole lot of burden on the company. The company's doing matching and you get some benefit from that. So anyway, the risk is now with the employee instead of the employer. So life just goes on and.
You got about a minute and a half.
Really? That's not bad.
No, it flew pretty fast.
I think we did okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't so horrible. 150? 149? 148? Why don't we just all together now? Everybody count down the clock. Anyway, if you want to learn more about Rosenberg Financial Group, go to retirerelax.com. Lots of videos. You can get on our mailing list, get on our email list, and there's Randy puts up new educational stuff every week. I think he does it, right?
Yes.
So there's all kinds, and I've had a number of clients tell me that they really like the stuff. That it's really it's well because we don't produce it. We have somebody do it for us.
It's good because we don't produce it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But it's really good. So anyway, so we got all the free reports, and then you've got access to videos and what have you, and tons of educational stuff there. So that's what's important. So anyway, if you want to come in, we manage money for our clients. If you want to learn about what we do, there's a video right on the available on the front of the website that kind of tells you in a cartoonish way what we do. And if you like a complimentary consultation with Sherri or myself, just either in Macon or Warner Robins, give us a call. Number in Warner Robins is 922-8100. The number in Macon 741-4457. So retirerelax.com.
Good.
Try to stay dry.
He said, stretch it out. Stretch it out.
How much time do we have now?
4 seconds.
3, 2, 1.
Blast off.
Lift off. Come on. Hit the button, CT. See you next week.
The views expressed on this show should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities or services mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risk, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should only be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Securities are offered through Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated, member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services are offered through Rosenberg Financial Group, a registered investor advisor not affiliated with Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated. Offices are located at 2517 Moody Road, Warner Robins, and 4875 Riverside Drive, Suite 201 in Macon. Phone numbers are 922-8100 and 741-4457.